Coming on the air with a new update any minute now from the NTSB on the deadly air collision over the Potomac. Those black boxes apparently in good condition as we get disturbing new video showing the moment of impact. The stories of some of the lives lost, including the helicopter pilots, will take you to that press conference live this hour. We're also live tonight at the White House with the tariff two-step from President Trump. New moves against Canada and Mexico to go into effect tomorrow, and they might give you sticker shock the next time you hit up the grocery store. Plus, the new pressure against some big-name media organizations that could cost them millions. What it might say about what you watch in the Trump administration. Then in tonight's original, how some activists are aiming at Target's bullseye over its decision to walk back from its DEI policies, and the racist post from the lead actress of the top-nominated film at the Oscars completely shaking up the award season. How she's responding later in the show. Hey, I'm Ellison in for Hallie, and any minute we will hear from investigators looking into that deadly collision between an American Airlines plane and a military helicopter, which killed 67 people. We're going to bring you that live, the tragedy caught on video in this new clip, first obtained by CNN, which shows in clearer detail the moment of impact. But we will warn you, it is very disturbing. Take a look. The helicopter approaches the American Airlines jet as it gets ready to land. Then a huge fireball, both aircrafts plummeting into the water. Right now, you can see crews on the Potomac potentially preparing to lift some wreckage out of the water. They've already recovered at least 41 bodies, but the fire chief said that they do expect to pull more from the plane's fuselage in the coming days. We told you last night crews recovered the black boxes from the commercial plane, but the black boxes from the helicopter, those are apparently still out of reach. We are also learning tonight the identities of two of the soldiers on board that helicopter, both decorated with several medals and awards. As we mentioned, 67 people lost their lives in this tragedy, many of them highly competitive figure skaters, among others that came from all different walks of lives. You can see some of their names and faces here, and we are going to tell you more about them, at least what we know right now, in just a minute. Our teams are covering all angles. We're joined by NBC's Courtney Cubie and Emily Ikeda, but we're going to start with Aaron McLaughlin, who is at Reagan Washington National Airport in Arlington, Virginia. So, Aaron, the NTSB is telling NBC News that these black boxes, the ones they recovered from the plane, are in good condition. Should we expect to learn anything at this upcoming press conference about what is actually on them?
Yeah, we understand from sources from the NTSB that they have had an opportunity to analyze those two black boxes seen as essential pieces of information from the jet in question that'll be able to tell them things such as the speed of the plane, its trajectory, its altitude at the time of the collision. Still question marks, though, over the black boxes from the Black Hawk helicopter. Those black boxes have yet to be recovered, and that's critical information given that the NTSB is currently investigating whether that Black Hawk helicopter was flying simply too high. Now, there has been some information from the Black Hawk transponders signaled to flights such as Flight Radar 24 that indicate that perhaps it was flying too high, some 350 feet to 400 feet over the Potomac. The standard is 200 feet. The question, of course, would be, why was it flying that high, if in fact that is the case? And NTSB officials are saying they need those black boxes to build a more precise picture about the helicopter's altitude, one of the critical pieces to establishing the probable cause of the collision. Allison.
And Aaron, the FAA is adding new restrictions, they say, on helicopters flying in the D.C. area airspace. You mentioned there about these questions surrounding how high the helicopter was. We've also been learning about a close call that happened just 24 hours before this when a different plane had to abort a landing because a helicopter was flying nearby. What can you tell us about that incident?
Yeah, that has to do with a Republic Airways flight that was landing at Reagan National Airport, proceeding to land, and had to abort that landing. It said because of a helicopter below. I want to play a piece of the audio exchange between that jet in question and air traffic controls. Take a listen.
Hey, Tower, we had a RA, but 4514 is going around.
Okay, 4514. What was the reason for the go-around?
We had an RA with the helicopter traffic below us.
Now, they're talking there about an RA, that's a resolution advisory, which is an emergency airline code indicating that a plane needs to make an emergency maneuver for safety reasons. So that begs even more questions. That incident likely to also play into what will be an exhaustive NTSB investigation. Remember, there's about 100 helicopter flights that fly around Reagan National Airport on any given day, those flights having been suspended along 2 separate routes, save for emergency purposes, for safety reasons. Remember, the NTSB not only is going to be working to establish the probable cause of this collision, but also making key recommendations going forward so that this never happens again.
And Aaron, one of the things that NBC, you included, have been reporting on for quite a while are the staffing challenges that all airports have faced in recent years. The Air Traffic Controllers Union has said that they are still short of the number they need to be fully staffed, and that right now thousands of controllers are still in the training stages. Talk to us about that. How has that issue, even prior to this, impacted Reagan Airport specifically?
Yeah, well, according to the New York Times, they had some pretty shocking reporting on this. According to data that the New York Times saw from 2023, Reagan National Airport employs 19 air traffic controllers. The optimal level for that is 30 air traffic controllers. So they were well short of the optimal levels. And we know that across the country, at airports across the country, they have been sounding the alarm. Officials inside of these airports screaming, in fact, that they're short-staffed. And the question being, when will that training come into fruition? When will these staffing levels? A lot of this has to do with the pandemic and the shortfalls during the pandemic. When will they be able to catch up to restore that sense of safety? Again, all of that also likely to be part of this ongoing investigation.
All right. Aaron McLaughlin, thank you. Courtney, let's bring you in here. And for our viewers, they are also looking at on their screen right now, in addition to the setup for the NTSB press conference that we expect to get coming up soon, there is also a live look right now at the recovery efforts on the Potomac. As Aaron was just talking about that helicopter, the black box inside of the Black Hawk, that is seemingly the main focus of the investigation right now. Do we know why crews haven't been able to recover it so far?
Yeah, so it seems there is a part of the helicopter that was sort of flipped upside down. There's additional water pressure. Obviously, it's in the water that has made recovery of both the 2 soldiers who are still inside the wreckage and the black box more difficult and candidly more dangerous for rescue crews. So it has taken longer than expected, but I will say military officials who we've spoken with are very confident that they'll both be able to get the remains of those 2 fallen soldiers and the black box out safely.
We are also learning tonight from the Army the identification of 2 of the soldiers who were killed in the crash. Is that going to offer any clues as to their backgrounds and experience levels before they embarked on this training mission?
Well, Ellison, we were already hearing a lot about their backgrounds from Army officials, even before we had their names. You can see them there on the screen. Chief Warrant Officer 2, Andrew Lloyd Eves from Maryland. He's one of the soldiers who is still in that wreckage, unfortunately. Staff Sergeant Ryan Austin O'Hara from Georgia. He was the chief on the helicopter, and he was recovered earlier on yesterday. Now, the 3rd soldier's identity, the family has requested that her name not be, and photo not be released, frankly. And I did say she was the one woman on the crew. We know that she's a captain. That's based off of what we heard from Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth in the White House briefing room yesterday, when he didn't identify the soldiers by name, but he did provide the ranks. So it's not clear why the family is asking to keep her name out of the media. But at this point, the Army and the Pentagon are respecting those wishes. So what we do know about them is one of them was an instructor pilot. He with more than 1,000 hours in the cockpit. One was also a very experienced pilot. Army officials told us that each of the 2, the pilot and the co-pilot, was perfectly capable of conducting this evaluation, this mission on their own. They were both very experienced. The chief was as well. But what's really critical here, Ellison, is the fact that in addition to their flying hours that they had, they were experienced in flying in this area. It's a very restricted area as far as where helicopters and aircraft in general can go. And they were familiar with the routes and the corridors and the restrictions as far as altitude. So the big question, we've been talking about the black box in this Black Hawk helicopter. The two big pieces of information that are going to be really critical to this investigation include exactly how high was that helicopter flying at the point of the collision, and why was it flying at that height? So what were the communications between the Black Hawk and the air traffic control? Those are going to be two very critical pieces of information that I think are going to shed a lot of light on exactly how this collision happened.
Yeah, and we're seeing in these live pictures here a crane where they seemingly are preparing, or have the apparatus at least, to lift things out of the water as they continue this search. I want to ask you a little more, Courtney, about that third person, because there was a lot of misinformation, a debunked theory tied to this individual who was aboard that flight. I understand you have some reporting that can help us sort of sift through the facts and the fiction here. What is true about this third person who is unnamed at the family's request?
Yeah, so late yesterday, social media started circulating a photo and some information about a soldier named Joe Ellis, also a member of a Black Hawk crew in Virginia. A couple of differences. Virginia National Guard. We have verified with the U.S. military that this woman, Joe Ellis, is a member of the Virginia National Guard, is assigned and is a part of a Black Hawk crew, but she was not on this flight. In fact, she has put out a video dispelling the rumors. And the reason that this has gotten so much traction on social media is because she happens to be a transgender service member. So there was a lot of hateful comments being made about her and accusations that she was one of the pilots or someone on this aircraft. And then, of course, we heard President Trump now on numerous occasions talking about how diversity issues may have been played a part in this terrible, tragic, fatal collision. And she was getting the brunt of some of the people who agree with the idea of diversity maybe playing a part here. But we have some video that she put out to dispel these rumors. I think we have some of that we can play here.
I understand some people have associated me with the crash in D.C., and that is false. It is insulting to the families to try to tie this to some sort of political agenda. They don't deserve that. I don't deserve this.
Ellison, another tragic example of misinformation and disinformation taking hold online and it really impacting someone's life, an innocent person's life.
Well, Courtney Kuby at the Pentagon, thank you for helping us understand all of the facts here. We really appreciate it. Let's go to Emily Ikeda now. She is in Ashburn, Virginia. So, Emily, the Ashburn Ice House, that's where you have been. They lost several people here, a coach, young skaters. Talk to us about what you're learning from that community and the reaction from people there.
Well, Ellison, just moments ago, we're learning just to what degree of loss they're facing. The general manager here revealing that they lost 14 people between this ice rink and one other one that they manage in the D.C. area were on that plane, including skaters, their families, and coaches. Among them, the entire Livingston family, two parents and their two young girls, Lydia and Everly, who were known as the ice skating sisters. I spoke with one of their dear friends alongside her mother, who remembered the special moments, the small details, especially about her friend Lydia, known as Liddy. She said she liked to carry Stanley Cups. She had a lot of those Stanley Cups, and they would make a makeshift ice skating rink in the backyard. Here's more of what she had to say.
Lydia, she was always very talkative and loud, and so basically, she was always very happy, and she would always help people if they were sad or hurt.
And you can't help but feel for this community. The loss is so great, so many people, and they all spend so much time together. This is an elite training program, so they're spending 5, 6, 7 days a week, hours a day together. They do have therapy dogs and consultants on the ground here to help with this grieving process.
Emily Ikeda, thank you for bringing us some of the victims' stories here. We really appreciate it. And a reminder, we are going to bring you this NTSB press conference as soon as it starts live. We're going to keep monitoring that, and we're going to turn to some White House news while we wait for that press conference to get underway. Any minute now, we do also expect President Trump to head down to Mar-a-Lago for the weekend as he prepares to implement big tariffs on America's two biggest trading partners, Mexico and Canada. The White House says tariffs will go into effect tomorrow, 25% on Mexico, 25% on Canada, 10% on China. Remember, despite the president's claims that other countries would pay for tariffs, that is not how they work. Importers pay them, and then they pass them along to consumers. Christine Romans will explain how they may hurt your wallet in just a second, but let's start with Garrett Haake at the White House. Garrett, the president has put a lot of blame on immigration, but as our Kelly O'Donnell learned in the room with him not long ago, it sounds like there really wasn't anything that could be done to stop these tariffs, right? Bring us up to speed here.
That certainly seems to be the case, Ellison. Look, this was a campaign promise from then-candidate Trump to impose some version of these tariffs on not just these countries, but on others around the world for various policy reasons. The reasoning has shifted along the way. Even earlier today, his press secretary arguing this was more about drugs coming over the border, about fentanyl, than it was about economic reasons. But whatever the cause may be, the president has been committed to this as an economic tool and told my colleague Kelly O'Donnell in the Oval Office just a few minutes ago he's not changing his mind. Listen.
Is there anything China, Canada, and Mexico can do tonight to forestall your implementation of tariffs tomorrow?
No, nothing. Not right now, no.
Not a negotiating tool?
No, it's not. No, it's a pure economic. We have big deficits with, as you know, with all three of them.
The challenge for the president going forward, Ellison, is he uses tariffs as like a Swiss Army knife, as a solution to so many different problems, but they can't solve the same problems at the same time. He can use them as a negotiating tactic, or he can use them to address the trade deficit. But if he wants to keep them up, he can't really negotiate against them. Where this ends and how far it goes, I think, is very much an open question.
And Garrett, the president has also carved out oil, at least for now, but says that he could implement those tariffs in a couple of weeks. And that is something that would be a really big deal, right? Because we get a lot of oil from Canada.
Yeah, that's right. About half the oil that we bring into this country does come from Canada, and U.S. refineries are essentially geared to specific products, the specific kinds of oil they get from specific places around the world. So if he were to put tariffs in place on Canadian oil, it's not like American refiners could just go shopping for a similar blend somewhere else, the Shell station or the Exxon station across the street. They would essentially have to pay those higher taxes on Canadian oil, a cost that would almost certainly be passed along to consumers. And as we have all learned over the last couple of years, one of the first places people notice rising costs, sort of see the signs of inflation, is at the gas pump with those big price signs on every corner in America.
Garrett Haake at the White House. Thank you. NBC's senior business correspondent Christine Romans is here with us now to break down how these tariffs could impact you. Okay, let's start with, because there's a lot of levels to this, right? Let's start with the grocery store because people are already frustrated with the price of eggs. Where else could they see sticker shock when they head to the grocery store?
Well, specifically from Mexico, there's a lot that the U.S. imports from Mexico. I mean, you look at the ingredients for guacamole, for example, all of those things cross the border here. So you could see prices rise for a whole bunch of different fruits and vegetable. Beer, we've been watching the stocks of the beer companies because so much of, America imports so much beer, beef, fresh fruit, fresh veg. I mean, the list goes on. And we do have recent data, recent information. We look at the goods that had tariffs in the first Trump administration compared with those that didn't, and you could very easily see there was greater inflation in the parts of the economy where there were tariffs in the first Trump administration than in the second Trump administration. But the president is emphatic. And I love the Swiss Army knife metaphor, because that is exactly how the president is using that. It's gone from fighting fentanyl to now fighting trade imbalances. The president is going to do this, and he's going to put big tariffs on a lot of different countries.
Let's talk about what could happen with cars, because I was struck by, I think it was earlier in the week, reading a quote from Mexico's economic minister, where he said, look, a lot of the pickup trucks that you guys are driving, that comes from here. I think he said pickup trucks specifically, in their estimation, could see an average of a $3,000 price increase. What could really happen?
President Trump himself negotiated USMCA, the Mexico-Canada-America Accords, to get rid of NAFTA. He's the one who negotiated how cars and trucks cross the border and their parts. So actually, the Mexican president has suggested he would be in violation of his own trade deal by doing this. If you look at a typical vehicle, it's probably had parts that have crossed the border maybe multiple times, because this is a really North American supply chain here. So that's where I think there could be the biggest, most dramatic impact right away. But everything from smartphones to fruits and vegetables, to machinery, to bicycles, to cars, all of these things could be more expensive if the president really does go out and put all these very big tariffs on. And then there's the question of retaliation. Yeah. There's a lot the U.S. exports, too. So we would expect other countries then to turn around and put tariffs on U.S. goods as well. So I think the near-term impact is uncertain, and uncertainty is what's really kind of roiled a lot of people in global markets, buyers and sellers.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because there was a bit of a sell-off after the tariff announcement today. Just if you look at the, if you just look at the graphs, right, red across the board, though not necessarily dramatically so. There was also some confusion because Reuters reported that these would be pushed back to March initially. We also heard the president just a moment ago when he was speaking in the Oval Office saying that he isn't going to rule out tariffs on the EU at some point.
That's right.
What do we expect to see in the coming days in terms of market impact and
So there was a reaction. I would call that reaction muted, and here's why. This is no surprise. The president has been singing from this hymn book for months. So we knew that this was going to be happening. Some companies have already been starting to pivot. They've been shifting their production out of, for example, China. Other companies have been stockpiling things on the West Coast in warehouses. That's the business to have been in the last year, the warehouse business on the West Coast, where people are bringing stuff in early ahead of tariffs. I think we just don't know what the long-term effect is going to be, and that is going to be an uncertainty hanging over the stock market.
All right, Christine Romans, thank you. Parts of Hawaii today dealing with heavy rain, strong winds, and flash flooding as a massive winter storm drenches the island. The rain and wind making it almost impossible to see. Cars carefully trying to drive through high water, and all of that weather is going to head to the West Coast, bringing lots of rain to Washington, Oregon, and Northern California. Meteorologist Bill Cairns joins us now with more on it. Bill, this is a good thing, right? Because the Pacific Northwest does need water. But could it be a bad thing as well?
Yeah, too much at one time is never a good thing, but we need these storms desperately. I mean, Hawaii took it on the chin, too. They picked up a foot of rain in one spot in Maui. So here's the huge storm. These are the Hawaiian Islands down here. It's still pouring on Hilo. We do have flood warnings in place. So another couple hours there, and that will clear out later on tonight. So this atmospheric river is the same one that's heading for California. We haven't talked about atmospheric rivers that much this winter because we've had a huge area of high pressure that's been blocking storms from heading to the West Coast. You all know what happened in California with all the fires in January. So we desperately need these storms. This is our time to get water in the West because in the summer, it doesn't rain. I mean, in Las Vegas, it hasn't rained in almost 9 months now. So we desperately like to get some wet weather. So the current storm track this weekend takes it up into Northern California and into the Pacific Northwest. And we call this atmospheric river a Pineapple Express. Starts in Hawaii and comes into California. And this one's going to have a pretty good area of rain with it. They're calling this a strong atmospheric river. The scale goes all the way up to extreme. And 15 million people are included. And, you know, we will see significant rain. Some areas will get 5 to even almost 10 inches in the mountains.
Bill, it is also the last day of January, right?
We know what's coming.
I know. Tell us about it, because what should we be expecting in February? Will there be any surprises come Groundhog Day?
All right, so this weekend, obviously, we're starting February, and then as we head towards, Groundhog Day. So let's first start with just the first day of February. Very cold northern New England, pretty quiet. And, of course, we got that atmospheric river. So then when we start talking about groundhogs, we got a lot of them. The most famous, is Puxatawny Phil in Pennsylvania. Slight chance of seeing its shadow, 27. By the way, if the groundhog sees its shadow, it means it's sunny. Typically in the winter when it's sunny, it's cold. That means we're going to have additional 6 more weeks of winter. So we like to see it not see the shadow before we get that earlier spring. But maybe Woodstock Willie or Buckeye Chuck can check that out. So here's the actual forecast for Groundhog Day. And there will be some clouds in the northern portions of the Great Lakes. So we'll have to wait and see what Puxatawny says, if the rodent sees his shadow or not.
We will be watching, and I just learned if we don't like what the OG groundhog says, we can just
There's
flip
a whole
over
bunch
to
of
Ohio.
other ones. Yep. Got Staten Island Chuck, too.
We love that. Bill Cairns, thank you. Tonight, NBC News has obtained a memo ordering that all references to, quote, gender ideology be removed across the federal government. The deadline was about 20 minutes ago at 5 p.m. Eastern time. The memo orders agencies to do things like take down all public websites and social media accounts that promote, and these are their words, promote gender ideology, and turn off Microsoft Outlook features that prompt staff to write out their pronouns. It also orders an end to any employee resource groups that promote gender ideology. This happening right after the CDC scrubbed a bunch of HIV-related content from its website as a part of the president's efforts to roll back diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives across the federal government. The agency started taking down all content related to gender identity today, according to one government staffer, and HIV-related pages were apparently part of that. Remember, earlier this week, the Trump administration started telling organizations in other countries to stop giving out HIV drugs bought with U.S. aid, even if they've already received the medications and are sitting in local clinics. So let's bring in Berkeley Lovelace, who has been reporting on this for us. Berkeley, what pages were taken down, and what are you hearing from people inside of the agency on these new policies?
Yeah, so as of this afternoon, several CDC pages have disappeared as officials move to rush to meet today's deadline. So key resources for healthcare providers are gone. Information about gay and bisexual men and transgender people are gone. Pages on racial disparities in HIV are gone. Resources on risk behaviors for youth are gone. And that's just some of the pages that have disappeared. There are many more that we're finding right now. One government staffer I spoke with called the process demoralizing. They said the officials or employees were initially unsure how to implement this new policy, but as the deadline loomed, they were left with no choice but to take down almost everything. And so, according to them, this new policy has effectively shut down the CDC's ability to combat HIV in the very groups most impacted by this virus. And right now, they have no idea if or when these pages will be restored.
And in terms of what you've heard from experts, how have they said this will impact AIDS care, particularly when it comes to minority communities?
Yeah, so experts are deeply concerned about this change. The CDC's HIV prevention work dates back to the early 1980s. Experts warned that the moves by the Trump administration could essentially dismantle the CDC's efforts to prevent HIV because addressing disparities based on race and sex and gender identity are fundamental to their work. So HIV has long disproportionately impacted minority groups, including Black and Latino people, gay and bisexual men, and transgender people. And the CDC plays a crucial role in tracking HIV infections, nationwide providing millions of grants to state and local health departments, and helping lead on-the-ground efforts to combat the virus. So one staffer I spoke with kind of put it plainly that, like, how are we going to be able to talk about the risk if we can't acknowledge it? And so this is something that we'll have to follow very closely.
All right, Berkeley Lovelace, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Coming up, we are awaiting that update from the NTSB on the deadly collision between an American Airlines plane and a military helicopter, which killed 67 people. We're going to bring you that live. Plus, records showing a school software firm failed to take a basic security step, and it led to what's maybe the biggest breach of children's data in U.S. history. That NBC News exclusive reporting coming up in a few minutes. And how about going phone-free? Some say it could impact your health. Dry January is over, so maybe, actually, we're going to go back a little bit. Yeah, there we go. Phone-free February. Dry January is over, so maybe it is time to try phone-free February. We are not talking about going completely cold turkey, of course, but we've all gone on our phone to check one notification and then end up scrolling through like 3 different apps for the next 30 minutes. Well, that is where this nonprofit campaign, Phone Free February, comes in. The goal is to get people's screen times down, whether that's before bed, at work, or when you are out with friends or even with your family there. And there is a good reason for it, right? Studies, they show higher screen time is linked to higher rates of obesity, sleep problems, and mental health issues. Dr. Ven Gupta is joining us now. Dr. Gupta, just full disclosure to start, did not do Dry January. Not sure I can be convinced of a phone-free February, but I am willing to see if you can change my mind. Talk to us about what sort of issues being on your phone causes and how much of an impact actually lowering cell phone usage, even just a little bit, could have on us.
Well, Alison, I think we're just learning the health impacts of overutilizing our phones. And you mentioned it, obesity, mental health problems, just creating a sedentary life, sleep disturbances. There's this whole gamut of health issues that, again, we're just learning about. It's an evergreen space. But exactly to your point, I enjoy my occasional glass of wine. I think going from 0 to 100 or back just doesn't make sense for the vast majority of people. And so how do we mitigate our use of phones? I mean, this is where there is becoming more and more of an emphasis on do not disturb notifications when you go to bed, so the phone doesn't just start popping up and causing light disturbances. Ideally, for all your viewers out there, the hours of 6 and 8 p.m., completely app-free, completely phone-free would be really critical. Using screen time limits, Allison, something as well. When we're thinking about limiting phone use, tracking how much you utilize actually can be very alarming. If you get this notification saying you've used your phone for 6 hours on average every day, those are the types of data points that help us become more aware of what we do and what we don't do. But again, these very simple things actually can make an impact.
Yeah, so it sounds like you're saying really like we could cut our screen time by an hour, preferably at least 2, as you noted in that 6 to 8 p.m. And that would make a difference, right? Because the average screen time for American adults, at least between the ages of 16 to 64, is over 7 hours per day. How much do we need to cut back to really have an impact?
I would say begin with that 6 to 8 p.m. window. There's no reason to be on it. That's dinner time. Afterwards, if you have a family or if you have that time to yourself, you can think about structuring it to do an evening workout followed by dinner. You have a family, that's good playtime, pre-bedtime routines. You don't need your phone between the hours of 6 and 8. And you're right, for most people, that's a 33% immediate reduction. Also, I know it's easier said than done, but charging your phone in a place that's not directly at bedside, really important. Again, ideally, you don't, unless you're in an emergency services, you don't, or if you're a journalist, you don't necessarily need to be on your phone between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. So think about removing your phone physically from your bedroom premises. That's really important. And frankly, deleting unnecessary apps or rearranging your home screen, the distracting apps that you know you're going to go to, actually putting them on the second fold of your phone so you don't immediately go to it when you look at your phone can be another strategy.
Okay, those are workable little tips. You may have convinced me, Dr. Gupta. I will try it for you. Phone-free February. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to bring in NBC's Aaron McLaughlin here because officials with the National Transportation Safety Board are about to give an update on that deadly D.C. collision. We're going to go to that as soon as it starts. But, Aaron, for now, bring us up to speed as we wait for this on what we expect to hear. And forgive us if I cut you off.
Hey, Allison. Well, this will be the first briefing from the NTSB of the day. What we know from sources is that a focus of this briefing will be on the black boxes that were recovered from the American Eagle passenger jet. According to these sources, we know that those black boxes, which were recovered yesterday, were in good condition, that they took the black boxes to the NTSB headquarters about a mile from where I am now, and they've been analyzing the data. So we're looking out in this press conference for a potential update in terms of what information they have gleaned from those black boxes. In particular, the black boxes critical to understanding, for example, what was going on in the cockpit at the time of the crash, the plane's trajectory, the airspeed, really critical information to this ongoing investigation. Also hoping to get an update on the Black Hawk helicopter that was involved in the collision. We understand that they have yet to recover the black boxes, the flight recorder, the cockpit voice recorder from the Black Hawk, that has been a source of focus for investigators on the Potomac. Today, we saw that they were beginning to pull some of the wreckage from the Potomac. So hopefully during this press conference, we will also get an update on that. That is seen as critical because we know from our sources at the NTSB that the altitude that the Black Hawk was flying is a major point in this investigation. Now, today we have heard from officials here in the Washington, D.C. area providing what is a critical update for the families in terms of the recovery of the bodies involved in this collision. We know that according to D.C. officials, they have recovered 41 bodies. Of those bodies, 28 have been positively identified. The next of kin have been notified for 18 of the victims, but critically, Allison, 26.
All right, Aaron, we're going to pause here for an NBC special report as that NTSB briefing gets underway.
This is an NBC News special report. Here's Tom Yamas.
And good day from Washington. We are coming on the air with an update on that deadly plane crash which killed 67 people. The NTSB is about to hold its second briefing on the investigation into what caused this horrific crash. We're now learning that investigators have recovered 2 flight data recorders, also known as the black boxes. Let's listen in.
We had to move this back, but they are one of our primary concerns, along with making sure we get factual information out. They are having it's a hard time for them, obviously. And we want to do everything we can to make sure they get the most accurate information and factual. And has always been at the core of the NTSB mission. Our job is to just come out with the probable cause, but then more importantly, make recommendations so that this type of tragedy never occurs again. So today, I know yesterday you saw the chairman, myself, and all the board members here. I just want to let you know they are still actively involved with this. We're just trying to make sure we're dividing and conquering. The chairman and I have had multiple conversations today. She's helped out a lot in making sure we're getting the investigative needs we have. And she's at the command post right now working with some of our people. I'd like to start by just thanking the first responders. When this first happened, a unified command was set up, and we had a lot of important people that came and worked with us. In Virginia, the Fairfax County Fire and Rescue, Fairfax County Fire and Rescue Department, Arlington County Fire and Rescue, Arlington County Emergency Management, Arlington Police, Alexandria City Fire, Alexandria Police, Virginia State Police, the NCR Incident Management Team, the Virginia Department of Emergency Management, the Virginia Department of Transportation, the Virginia Senator Warner's office, MWA's Fire and Rescue Team, MWA Police. A special shout out to every one of them. MWA has been amazing in helping and working with us, and we're truly appreciative. Along with DC Fire and Rescue, just extraordinary, taking the lead. Prince William Fire and Rescue. In Maryland, the Montgomery Fire and Rescue, Prince George's Fire and Rescue, Charles County Fire and Rescue, Baltimore Fire, Baltimore Police, Anne Arundel Fire Department, Maryland State Police, Maryland Natural Resource Police, MPD, DCFD, and from the federal side, the U.S. Coast Guard, U.S. Army, U.S. Air Force, FBI, Secret Service, Customs and Border Patrol, Park Police, DOD, Naval District Washington, American Medical Response, and yes, the U.S. Department of Labor. All of those have been amazing partners and are one of the reasons why that this investigation continues to progress the way we want it to. As I said, we did family briefings last night, and today there are over 100 family members that are now in the area receiving briefings, and as part of a legislative requirement, receiving family assistance. They have been briefed by the medical examiner, the fire chief, NTSB chairman, and myself, along with the family assistant unit from PSA Airlines. In regard to NTSB staff, all staff are now on scene that have been requested. And I want to point out one specific staff member, because we're doing a joint NTSB and DOD investigation. The NTSB actually has a Black Hawk certified pilot on staff, on our personal staff, based out of Alaska. Once we realized the dynamics and the intricacies of the Black Hawk, we have brought that member in. They are on scene now, providing direct technical assistance to the NTSB. Now, it does not mean that the DOD is not working and helping with us, but in order to maintain our independence, we have our own Black Hawk certified pilot in the working group for helicopters. Regarding salvage at this point, the Navy Supervisor of Salvage is conducting salvage operations at the current time. Barges are en route from Virginia Beach, and we anticipate them to be on scene early tomorrow morning. After their arrival, they will be secured and located, and then significant salvage operations will continue. They are ongoing right now, but this will be the main lifting. It's being done in conjunction with the DC Medical Examiner's Office in order to make sure simultaneously that any additional victims are recovered and immediately turned over to them for identification and returned to their families. SupSal, which is the supervisor of salvage, is also conducting a debris mapping right now. This will help in our post-accident analysis of how the machine actually reacted to the incident. It'll also help us with understanding some of the airworthiness and crashworthiness and human factors. We have right now two distinct debris fields. One that houses the Sikorsky, which is in comparison to the CRJ, a little bit smaller. The CRJ is in another distinct area, and we consider a little bit larger. The good news is, based upon the initial mapping, while there are some small aspects of that debris field, there are large chunks that will be easily recoverable, and it will aid in the investigation when we bring it into the secured facility that will be located here on MWA. That will help us in the close proximity to be able to review and evaluate. Yesterday, we outlined for you a number of groups that have been stood up. A few of them in particular I want to call out, although every one of them have been working very hard. For your edification, the ATC group, Air Traffic Control, has been conducting interviews today. They're ongoing tonight. They will be ongoing for probably the next few days. We've had full cooperation in getting the witnesses that we need to gain those interviews. We will then take that information and match it with other data that we're receiving, and if necessary, conduct follow-up interviews at a later time. Our operations group now has on site an exemplar airplane similar to the CRJ 700. It's on a hard stand here at MWA. They will use that to evaluate cockpit configuration, seating, things like that. So whenever the salvage comes up, we're able to use an exemplary aircraft to match it against examples such as where maybe switches are, navigational aids, electronics. It is almost the exact same configuration as the incident aircraft. I want to clarify one thing. There's been a lot of questions and discussion regarding manifest. Let me make this very clear. The NTSB will not and has not released a manifest. We have not in our history, not in our past. We will not be in this accident. In fact, there's specific congressional language that whenever it is in our possession, it is not available through the Freedom of Information Act. It will not be included in our report. We will not be putting any names of any of the victims. Any release of that information will come from other individuals or groups. Regarding the recorders, as many of you saw last night, we recovered from the CRJ 2 separate recorders. One was a FDFR, that is a flight data recorder. 50. That was actually in what we consider good condition. As part of that process, it was soaked in alcohol overnight. It was then opened today, and we have a high level of confidence that we will be able to get a full download in the very near future. Now, once we do have that download, we will not be releasing immediately the information regarding it. We will have to go through, correct the data sets, make sure they're synchronized. This has approximately up to possibly 2,000 data points. Is that right, Bryce? So all of that has to be synchronized and looked at. It's a very laborious practice. It takes a lot of time. Regarding the CRJ's cockpit voice recorder, once it was recovered and opened, we found that it had water intrusion. That is not uncommon. It is not an unusual event for us to receive a recorder with water intrusion. We deal with that all the time. Our recorders division is one of the best in the country, in the world actually, and we have recorders sent everywhere, so there's a step. The CVR was soaked overnight in ionized water, at which point the team put the CVR into a vacuum oven in order to extract moisture. They are still checking electrical connections to determine if they're ready to try a download. It is one step of many steps that we will take in order to get that data, but we have a very high level of confidence that we will have it. We just have to work through a number of steps. Lastly, on recorders, the Sikorsky, where the CRJ has two separate recorders, the Sikorsky has a combined cockpit voice recorder and digital flight data receipt recorder. It's in one box. I can report to you now, we have recovered the Sikorsky black box. It is safely at the NTSB headquarters. It will begin an evaluation, just as the other two recorders did last night, to determine when and how to take action. I can tell you from a visual inspection, we saw no exterior damage that would indicate that it was compromised at this time. So we have a high level of confidence that we will be able to have a full extraction from that as well. Those are some of the significant updates we have right now. Obviously, we'll be doing some more in the essence of time and making sure our team gets back. I think we're going to be able to take maybe 4 or 5 questions. I'll call on you and I'll repeat it. So we'll try to play that game a little bit, please. Right here.
Thank you very much.
Your name and outlet, please.
Jonathan Kersley from Channel 9 Australia. With Captain Sully Sullivan, one of the heroes of the incident on the Hudson, has said that he has said we absolutely should be reviewing airspace, not just here but in other places where there's a complex mix of traffic. Is he right? Is there time for a permanent shift in DC and across the country to keep airspace safe and separated between military and civilian aircraft?
So the question for those watching, is it this time now for us to possibly deconflict or change some of the airspace where military aircraft operate with commercial aircraft? I can't give you a definitive answer on that. What I can say is in this incident, it should not have happened. We have in aviation what's called a Swiss cheese approach, wherein if something fails, a backup should catch it. Multiple layers of redundancy. It's been a very long time since we've had a major aviation incident in the United States, and that's the reason why it's one of the safest forms of transportation in the country. But the only way they do that is by investigating what happens now and then making recommendations in the future. Again, the NTSB has done 100,000 aviation investigations. We've issued 15,000 recommendations. Over 84% have been accepted. Once this investigative report comes out, we will be advocating probably for years for changes that need to be made, but we'll not speculate on what needs to be done until we have the facts.
Right, is there anything obvious?
Hey, I'll call on people. Sorry.
Dave Jefferson from Reuters. Can you talk about how long you think it will take to recover the debris, how long you plan to be on site, and have you got any early data yet off the ATC tapes?
I think that was 3 or 4 together. How long the debris will take, how long we'll be on site, and have we gotten any information off of the air traffic control tapes. The debris, we are hopeful once the mapping is done that it will be done in what I will call quick order. I can make no guarantees of that because first and foremost, we need to make every effort and to make sure we're recovering every one of the people that perished in this accident. We'll have some cranes that'll be coming up, and once that happens, you'll see a lot more activity, and we'll be moving that in. But I don't want to give you a definitive time. I would say it will start in earnest probably on Sunday, and it will go through next week, and some of that's contingent upon weather and other things. Regarding the ATC tapes, we've received a lot of different information on ATC, and so I'm just going to preempt it. Off-the-shelf software programs are not always as accurate as the data we specifically get from ADSB, from the black boxes. All of that are factors that come into our investigation. So we will not speculate about ATC tapes that you may have heard and seen online or snippets. We are getting the full cooperation that we need to be able to make an accurate assessment and to make sure what we are saying is factual and that it will help and aid in the entire investigation. Steve
Cooper from Channel 7 in Boston. Is there anything glaring from the videos that we've all seen that would tell you that the pilot in the Black Hawk helicopter made a mistake?
The question is, based on the videos, have we drawn any conclusions? We have not. We know that there was a significant incident in which the two aircraft collided, a pretty significant fireball. If you will recall, even after the first day, we only had maybe 1 or 2 grainy images that were coming out. We're seeing more and more at this time. So we're still collecting data, but we are not going to opine until we see a lot of other things. And there are a couple more. Yes, sir.
On CNN, how critical is it to interview the controller in the tower cab? And how concerning is it to you, the reports that that controller is working 2 positions at the same time?
So the question was, how critical are the air traffic control interviews and basically staffing? So air traffic control interviews are critical. That's the reason why there's a process in place. That began immediately after the accident. It was preservation of that evidence. It was immediately taking down notes, getting logs, all that information. We will go back and look at any air traffic controller that was involved in this. We'll go back and look at their past probably 72 hours, even 2 or 3 weeks. We'll look at their training, their hiring, everything, what they probably ate that day. But it is not one point that tells us everything. It's layered into a lot of other information that's very critical. Regarding staffing, the FAA has had a very robust plan in looking at staffing. Obviously, we'll be looking at not only staffing that day, but progressively staffing. How many people, what job functions they were doing. Were they being combined? Were they not? What was the weather outside? What was the number of landings? I recall back during COVID, 1 runway was being used. Runway 1, that was the only one. 33, as traffic came back, started being opened up. So we would look at changes in traffic patterns, construction at the airport, all of that. It all paints a very big picture.
Can I just follow up on that?
Who are you? Sorry.
Have investigators interviewed air traffic controllers on this?
The question is, have we interviewed air traffic controllers? Yes. I think I started with.
Were they working at the time?
Sorry.
They were working at the time.
I'm sorry, the clarification, was it an air traffic controller that was working at the time of the accident? Yes. Yes. Sorry. Now, I'm not going to speculate. Sorry. No, sorry. I'm not going to speculate. The next question is, was there 1, 2, 3? I don't have the answer for that right now. I know that the controller that was working at the time has been interviewed, and his interviews are ongoing throughout the day. Yes, ma'am. Last one.
NBC. Has President Trump reached out to you personally or anyone else from the White House to you or anyone else on the board? And if so, can you describe the nature of those communications?
The question is, has anyone from the White House reached out to me or other board members? I won't speak for other board members. I know that the chair did a briefing yesterday. It was publicly discussed and gave some information. I have not received any contact. I'm going to go back to something we talked about earlier. The NTSB is an independent bipartisan board. 58 years as the gold standard. Our job is to find the facts, but more importantly, our job is to make sure this tragedy doesn't happen again, regardless of what anyone may be saying. Our investigators never want to see this happen again, and I never want to have to go back and brief another set of family like that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. President Trump was wondering why this helicopter was flying above 200 feet.
We've just been listening into that NTSB news conference right there. A lot of new information coming out at this second news conference so far. We've learned a couple of things. The first being that the black boxes from the Black Hawk helicopter have been recovered as well. They're waiting on some barges to get to the Potomac River to the 2 different crash sites, one where they have the plane, the other where they have that helicopter. They describe them as being in large chunks at this point. They're going to salvage those 2 pieces of aircraft, and then they're also going to be working alongside the D.C. medical examiner because, unfortunately, there are still victims that have not been recovered that are still stuck in that wreckage. We've also learned that they have interviewed the ATC controller, the air traffic controller, who was on duty at the time of the collision. They didn't want to speculate. They didn't want to give us any more information about that, I should say. But they said they're interviewing him, and they continue to interview him. And they're also saying that they have fully, sort of, if you will, desanitized the 2 black boxes, soaked them in alcohol from the passenger plane for a day, and they're now starting to download that data. And as soon as they have that information, they're going to analyze it. I do want to bring in our senior correspondent, Tom Costello, who was at the briefing right there in the front row. Tom, they gave us a lot of new information. Tell me what else stood out to you.
Well, I think it was interesting that they have now recovered the combined black box from the chopper. Now, that's something that we've been told was a high priority. As we know, we reported last night that they had recovered the black boxes from the regional plane. And as he mentioned, they did see some water in the cockpit voice recorder, but they're confident that they can still extract the data out of that CVR. It's the black box. It's a combined black box on the chopper with both flight data and cockpit voice. And that's going to be critical because, as he suggested, it's one thing to get the readings on a public website about what speed and what altitude that helicopter was traveling at. It's another to actually pull the raw data off the flight data recorder, because it's much more consistent and it is real time. It's not divided up by bursts every 6 seconds. So that's the data they want. You know, you can go on various websites and see estimates that it was 350, 400 feet when it should have been below 200 feet. They want to see that data, they call it NTSB data, and they want to get that data so they know exactly where that helicopter was. And then I thought it was critical that, in fact, they've already started interviewing the air traffic controllers. They want to make sure they get people's versions of what happened while it's still fresh in their heads, right? You don't want to wait a few days, a week or whatever, when all of us have a tendency to start remembering things differently. They want to capture that information immediately. And they will ask the air traffic controllers who were on duty, what did you see that night? Should you have been more explicit, for example, in the control instructions that you provided to that chopper pilot? What, if anything, did you notice that looked abnormal? So there's an awful lot that goes into that. And they will, all of that, all of this data, all of this information will be eventually combined along with these videos, which really are a tremendous tool to investigators that show and depict the crash as it happened. They'll combine all of that into a report that they finally will finalize, I should say, probably in a year or so after some very high-profile public hearings. I would only make also the point, Tom, and you were here with me, that there is an awful lot of discussion, and has been for quite some time, that this airport has far too many planes coming in and out and far too many helicopters in and around it. Just today, the FAA ordered that no more helicopters in one of the helicopter zones, no more helicopters unless it's specifically police or medevac. That eliminates some of the military and diplomatic choppers. So already the FAA is taking action. We don't know how long that restriction will be in place, but then that's all in the context of this airport being perhaps maxed out.
Yeah, Tom Costello. Tom, we appreciate having you down there. We also do want to mention the NTSB says they've met with about 100 family members of those 67 victims so far, answering as many questions as they can, and also teaming them up with grief counselors, because these families have just gone through so much since that collision on Wednesday night. Okay, that's going to conclude this special report. We'll have much more ahead on our streaming network, NBC News Now, and tonight on Nightly News. I'm Tom Yamas. We thank you for watching.
You have been watching an NBC News special report. We just heard from the NTSB, specifically NTSB board member Todd Inman, giving a briefing, the first update of the day on the investigation into the D.C. plane crash. NBC's Emily Aketa is with us. NBC's Courtney Kuby is at the Pentagon with us from there. But we're going to start with Aaron McLaughlin, who is at Reagan National Airport in Arlington, Virginia. Aaron, I mean, a couple big headlines here you were reporting earlier. We expected the main news and the focus of this briefing to be the black boxes. We knew that they had recovered black boxes from the American Airlines flight. Now we have learned they also got it from the Black Hawk helicopter. Tell us what stood out to you here.
Yeah, what's out to me, Ellison, is that it seems that they're pretty confident that they're going to be able to get full downloads from all of the black boxes, the 2 black boxes from that American Eagle jet, as well as from the Black Hawk. They talked about the flight data recorder. He said that it was in, quote, good condition, that they soaked it in alcohol overnight, and that they managed to open that recorder today. He said that they have a high level of confidence of a full download in the near future, but also saying that there are going to be thousands of data points that they're going to have to sift through. So it could be a while before they get any sort of conclusions out of that recorder. He said that they also opened up the cockpit voice recorder, but there was water intrusion in the cockpit voice recorder. Nevertheless, he said that he was confident that they'd be able to work through that. They soaked it in ionized water overnight. And then that critical update on the black box from the Black Hawk, the Sikorsky, that they managed to recover. Unclear when they were able to pull that from the water, perhaps today. They said that they will begin that evaluation. They saw no exterior damage to indicate if it was compromised, and they're confident in a full extraction there as well. Also critically, he gave an update on the interview process. They said that they had begun interviews of air traffic controllers, specifically the air traffic controller that was there on duty the night of that fated crash. So it's still, they're working through this process. He did warn that this is going to be a slow, methodic, meticulous investigation, and they are a ways away from any concrete updates in terms of that probable cause. Allison.
Yeah, and he said they are, the witnesses that they are interviewing are cooperating, and mentioned, I think he was asked at some point how many air traffic controllers, and he only would confirm, he wouldn't give a number, only saying the air traffic controller that was working at that time is among those being interviewed. Courtney, I want to bring you in here on the black box that was recovered from the Black Hawk helicopter, because it seems like they are talking about a quote-unquote combined black box, and he used the term that I wasn't familiar with describing this black box. Explain to me what they have or think they're going to have in the black boxes that would be in an Army helicopter versus what they would be recovering from a commercial plane like the American Airlines flight.
So it sounds to me like they're talking about the things that we would expect in a black box. So the air traffic control conversations with the helicopter, with the pilots, we would expect that. But it sounds like there may be some additional information that might give a little bit more detail and fidelity on some of the big issues we've been talking about here. One includes the altitude at which the helicopter was flying at. That's going to be an enormous part of this investigation. But it also could be other information from sensors on that helicopter. I think that this black box is going to be really critical to this investigation. Of course, the one for the commercial aircraft will be as well, but this one is going to be very critical because if look, we've been hearing President Trump talk about this being in large part a problem with the altitude of the helicopter. If that is the case, and it seems as if he's speaking from information that he's gotten from briefings, if that is the case, that is going to be one of the most important parts of this investigation that could explain how such a experienced and a crew that was so comfortable and used to flying in these areas, in these corridors around National Airport, it could give us some insight into how this collision could have happened, Ellison.
And Aaron, if I can bring you back in here for a minute, another thing they said in that briefing was that they are working with 2 distinct debris fields. We've been showing some of these live images of the effort still going on, the investigation there on the Potomac. Can you just sort of walk us through what you have seen throughout the day and in your coverage on how vast this investigation actually is, and some of the items or people that you have seen coming in and out of that area?
He referred to 2 distinct debris fields, one that houses the Sikorsky and the other that houses the jet. And he said that it appears at this point, and this is also critical for their investigation, that they'll be able to pull up large chunks of the wreckage, that there are large chunks still intact. And that's, of course, also, critical for the families. We got the update in terms of the number of bodies that have been recovered so far. There are 41 bodies recovered, 28 positively identified, next of kin notified for 18 victims, but 26 victims remain in the waters of the Potomac. And there was a briefing earlier saying that what they need to lift is they need to lift the fuselage, and they're confident that they'll be able to recover the remaining victims once that happens. In that press conference, they said they're getting that heavy equipment into the area to be able to do that this weekend. Allison.
And Emily, as we're just looking there at some of the faces of people who we know are victims, a lot of these names and the stories that we're starting to get, we know because their loved ones have been speaking out about their lives and who they were. You have been spending time with some families and people who have been impacted by this tragedy. Talk to us about what families are saying.
Yeah, that's right, Allison. 14 of those victims had ties to this ice rink, along with another one in the D.C. area. They included skaters and parents, family members, as well as coaches. Coach Ina V, as she's known around here, is being remembered for her meticulous nature and attention to detail. There was also young Brielle and her mom, Justina Bayer, who were on the flight. The husband and father speaking and telling to NBC News that they really shared a special bond over skating, and he recalled their love for Christmas, saying that Justina, the mom, would put up 5 Christmas trees on a single floor, just trying to bring that extra energy to the household. There were also the Livingston family, 2 parents and their 2 daughters, known as the ice skating sisters, who were on board the flight. Lydia and Everly, I spoke with one of their close friends, just a young 12-year-old Rena, who shared this. What are you guys focusing on right now as mother-daughter, as a skating community?
I think we're just trying to, I think we're just grieving right now, about how all of them are gone. And, well, I think we're just trying to, understand that, they're gone. And I don't really understand how else we can do it.
So much heartbreak in the wake of this tragedy. There's a growing memorial inside with flowers and notes. We know the Capitals match this weekend will be holding a moment of silence. There will also be some other commemorative events remembering these lives lost. Ellison.
Emily Aketa, Courtney Cuby, and Aaron McLaughlin, thanks to all of you. We appreciate it. President Trump is headed down to Mar-a-Lago for the weekend, just the day before he prepares to implement big tariffs on America's 2 biggest trading partners, Mexico and Canada. The White House says those tariffs will go into effect tomorrow, 25% on Canada, 25% on Mexico, and 10% on China. And make no mistake, as he told our Kelly O'Donnell, they are coming.
Is there anything China, Canada, and Mexico can do tonight to forestall your implementation of tariffs tomorrow?
No, nothing. Not right now, no.
Not a negotiating tool?
No, it's not. No, it's a pure economic. We have big deficits with, as you know, with all 3 of them.
Remember, despite the president's claims that other countries would pay for tariffs, that is not how they work. Importers pay them and then they pass them along to consumers. Christine Romans will explain how they could hurt your wallet in just a minute. But let's start with Kelly O'Donnell at the White House. Kelly, the president ran on a promise of not raising prices on Americans, lowering them. He talked a lot about inflation, the price people pay at the gas pump and also the grocery store. Talk to us about what he said in the Oval Office.
Well, in this Q&A with reporters, and I was serving as one of the pool reporters, which is why I was able to ask the president a number of questions, and I raised with him the concern about how these tariffs could, in fact, be passed on as additional costs to consumers. And he said that sometimes that happens. He acknowledged it. He said there could be some short-term pain, but people would understand. At the same time, he also conceded that with Canadian crude, he might be willing to go at just 10%, not the full 25% that would affect other goods. But in talking about this, clearly the president understands that this is an ability for him to put kind of leverage on nations that are our friends and a strong competitive rival like China. And I asked him if there were any concessions that he was looking for that could make this either not happen or be in some way altered. He again said no. And I asked him about the impact on prices. And here's a part of our give and take on that subject. How would you expect to have prices come down if you have such a broad plan for tariffs? And what do you say to the voters who want to see you reduce everyday costs?
Well, let me just tell you that I got elected for a lot of reasons. Number one was the border. Number two was inflation, because I had almost no inflation. Tariffs don't cause inflation. They cause success. Cause big success. So we're going to have great success. There could be some temporary short-term disruption, and people will understand that.
There you have a sense of the president's assessment of how using this power to require taxes on goods coming into the United States from the countries that he's named, China, Mexico, and Canada. Canada and Mexico, partner nations to the United States with shared borders. China, of course, a rival on the world stage, a superpower, and at times a competitive foe, and trying to compel them to treat U.S. goods differently. And he acknowledged that the U.S. pays taxes to other countries, but not a clear sense of how this would affect the American pocketbook when so many people were looking to him as candidate Trump to try to ease some of the costs from groceries and other basic expenses that people cover every month.
I do want to play a little bit of what we heard from Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau previously as it relates to tariffs, and then we'll talk right after.
If tariffs are implemented against Canada, we will respond. We won't relent until tariffs are removed, and of course, everything is on the table. I won't sugarcoat it. Our nation could be facing difficult times in the coming days and weeks.
I mean, I know we heard the president seeming to say to you there is no negotiation tool left or off-ramp here, but do we know if there are lines of communication right now with Canada and Mexico on topics like the trade agreements they do have?
I would presume there would be, and I frankly expected the president to leave some door open for that, because part of why he does this is because he likes to be able to use tariffs as a negotiating tool, a point of leverage, seeking to get some concession from other nations, which is why I followed up with those questions, and I thought he might respond differently. Perhaps holding the line, at least this evening, is part of what ramps up the pressure as he sees it against these other nations. Of course, he also was asked by a colleague of ours if he was concerned about the impact on the markets. And again, he begged off and was not overtly concerned about that. The president does tend to watch market reaction as a measure of his performance. And clearly, he also went into a riff that he recalled from campaign times, that he likes to say that tariffs are a, quote, beautiful word, and this is a tactic that he wants to use, and I think we will be watching closely for any opportunity for this to be averted or changed, or what the next chapter of this use of tariffs will be. Ellison?
And he also said in there that he was not ruling out the possibility of tariffs on the European Union. So a lot of news there, a lot to watch. Kelly O'Donnell, amazing reporting. Thank you, as always. Let's bring in NBC's business correspondent, Christine Romans now. Okay, let's start with, because there's a lot of levels to this, right? Let's start with the grocery store, because people are already frustrated with the price of eggs. Where else could they see sticker shock when they head to the grocery store?
Well, specifically from Mexico, there's a lot that the U.S. imports from Mexico. I mean, you look at the ingredients for guacamole, for example, all of those things cross the border here. So you could see prices rise for a whole bunch of different fruits and vegetable. Beer, we've been watching the stocks of the beer companies, because so much of, America imports so much beer, beef, fresh fruit, fresh. I mean, the list goes on. And we do have recent data, recent information. We look at the goods that had tariffs in the first Trump administration compared with those that didn't, and you could very easily see there was greater inflation in the parts of the economy where there were tariffs in the first Trump administration than in the second Trump administration. But the president is emphatic. And I love the Swiss Army knife metaphor, because that is exactly how the president is using it. It's gone from fighting fentanyl to now fighting trade imbalances. The president is going to do this, and he's going to put big tariffs on a lot of different countries.
Let's talk about what could happen with cars, because I was struck by, I think it was earlier in the week, reading a quote from Mexico's economic minister, where he said, look, a lot of the pickup trucks that you guys are driving, that comes from here. I think he said pickup trucks specifically, in their estimation, could see an average of a $3,000 price increase. What could really happen?
President Trump himself negotiated USMCA, the Mexico, Canada, America Accords, to get rid of NAFTA. He's the one who negotiated how cars and trucks cross the border and their parts. So actually, the Mexican president has suggested he would be in violation of his own trade deal by doing this. If you look at a typical vehicle, it's probably had parts that have crossed the border maybe multiple times, because this is a really North American supply chain here. So that's where I think there could be the biggest, most dramatic impact right away. But everything from smartphones to fruits and vegetables, to machinery, to bicycles, to cars, all of these things could be more expensive if the president really does go out and put all these very big tariffs on. And then there's the question of retaliation. Yeah. There's a lot the U.S. exports, too. So we would expect other countries then to turn around and put tariffs on U.S. goods as well. So I think the near-term impact is uncertain, and uncertainty is what's really kind of roiled a lot of people in global markets, buyers and sellers.
Yeah, let's talk about that, because there was a bit of a sell-off after the tariff announcement today. Just if you look at the, if you just look at the graphs, right, red across the board, though not necessarily dramatically so. There was also some confusion because Reuters reported that these would be pushed back to March initially. We also heard the president just a moment ago when he was speaking in the Oval Office saying that he isn't going to rule out tariffs on the EU at some point.
That's right.
What do we expect to see in the coming days in terms of market impact and
So there was a reaction. I would call that reaction muted, and here's why. This is no surprise. The president has been singing from this hymn book for months. So we knew that this was going to be happening. Some companies have already been starting to pivot. They've been shifting their production out of, for example, China. Other companies have been stockpiling things on the West Coast in warehouses. That's the business to have been in the last year, the warehouse business on the West Coast, where people are bringing stuff in early ahead of tariffs. I think we just don't know what the long-term effect is going to be, and that is going to be an uncertainty hanging over the stock market.
All right, Christine Romans, thank you. Parts of Hawaii today dealing with heavy rain, strong winds, and flash flooding as a massive winter storm drenches the island. The rain and wind making it almost impossible to see. Cars driving very carefully through high water, and all of that weather, it is going to head to the West Coast, bringing lots of rain to Washington, Oregon, and Northern California. Bill Cairns has everything you need to know as it relates to the weather. Bill, Hawaii out of the woods with this storm. What should people be expecting on the West Coast?
Yeah, people in Hawaii can't wait for the weekend. It's been a miserable couple of days with this atmospheric river right over the top of the island chain. The last of the heavy rain is exiting the Big Island, so that's good. One spot on Maui picked up over a foot of rain with this storm. So here's how it's going to play out. All that atmospheric river is eventually going to come into California late tonight and into tomorrow. So this is during the afternoon. This will just be a deluge, especially from San Francisco northwards, especially heading up there towards Eureka and Redding. The mountainous areas won't be good for skiing. It's going to be probably too windy, and it's going to be heavy, wet snow. You have to wait till the storm system's likely done. There's probably a lot of lift holds, too. The Pacific Northwest doesn't get a lot out of this storm. It's really going to focus to the south. We get a little bit of a break, and then as we get into Sunday, another moisture slams the coast, and then it drifts northwards. That's why we call it atmospheric river. It's like a hose. It just kind of goes back and forth for a couple days, and this may even last into Tuesday or Wednesday. We're hoping some of that moisture can get into Southern California at the end of it. Of course, we don't want the mudslides on the burn scars, but we do desperately need the rain. So 15 million people are in flood watches. That's from San Jose to San Francisco northwards. How much rain are we talking? So this is going to be out through the next 6 days. So Sacramento, San Francisco, that's a good amount of rain for you, 3 to about 6 inches in the mountains. We do think that LA is going to eventually get some rain, so that would be all right. That's not so heavy that we're going to worry about a lot of flash flooding and mudslides, but it will be beneficial. And if that happens, that wouldn't be until maybe Tuesday or Wednesday. Notice Las Vegas, I have nothing for you. This is one of the longest dry stretches in Las Vegas history. It goes all the way back to the spring. We're almost heading into the spring. I mean, they have a chance of going a whole calendar year with no rain. As far as the snow goes, we will see some high amounts, mostly in the mountains, though, Ellison, and that's where the ski country, they love it.
I don't know why anybody bothers with groundhogs when we have Bill Cairns, but Groundhog Day is fun, around the corner. I mean,
usually it's a party. It's fun, you know.
Yeah, all right. For that, I'll give it to people. But Groundhog Day coming up, what are we expecting in terms of winter?
February's here, like the longest month of the year. January's over. It's a long month. So this is as we head through February 1st, just that storm in the west. As we talk about Groundhog Day, we have our favorites. Obviously, Punxsutawney Phil, made famous by the movie Groundhog Day. But I love this one, Buckeye Chuck, of course, Ohio, Woodstock Willie, Staten Island Chuck, and there's others, too, all throughout the country. You can look up your closest favorite one. They all give their own little forecast, but the bottom line is typically if it sees its shadow, it actually means that winter is going to be longer, because if you see your shadow in the winter, usually it's clear and sunny and cold.
All right. Buckeye Chuck. Bill Cairns, thank you. We appreciate it. Tonight, NBC News has obtained a memo ordering that all references to, quote, gender ideology be removed across the federal government. The deadline was about an hour and 20 minutes ago at 5 p.m. Eastern time, and we're seeing those changes take effect as we speak. The memo orders agencies to do things like take down all public websites and social media accounts that promote, quote unquote, promote gender ideology, and turn off Microsoft Outlook features that prompt staff to write out their pronouns. It also orders an end to any employee resource groups that promote gender ideology. This happening right after the CDC scrubbed a bunch of HIV-related content from its website as part of President Trump's efforts to roll back diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives across the federal government. The agency started taking down all content related to Gender Identity Day. That is according to one government staffer, as well as HIV-related pages. Those were apparently part of that scrub. Remember, earlier this week, the Trump administration started telling organizations in other countries to stop giving out HIV drugs that were bought with U.S. aid, even if they'd already received the medications, and those medications are there sitting in local clinics. Let's bring in Berkeley Lovelace, who has been reporting on this for us. Hey, Berkeley. Berkeley, what pages were taken down, and what are you hearing from people inside of the agency on these new policies?
Yeah, so as of this afternoon, several CDC pages have disappeared as officials move to rush to meet today's deadline. So key resources for healthcare providers are gone. Information about gay and bisexual men and transgender people are gone. Pages on racial disparities in HIV are gone. Resources on risk behaviors for youth are gone. And that's just some of the pages that have disappeared. There are many more that we're finding right now. One government staffer I spoke with called the process demoralizing. They said the officials or employees were initially unsure how to implement this new policy, but as the deadline loomed, they were left with no choice but to take down almost everything. And so, according to them, this new policy has effectively shut down the CDC's ability to combat HIV in the very groups most impacted by this virus. And right now, they have no idea if or when these pages will be restored.
And in terms of what you've heard from experts, how have they said this will impact AIDS care, particularly when it comes to minority communities?
Yeah, so experts are deeply concerned about this change. The CDC's HIV prevention work dates back to the early 1980s. Experts warned that the moves by the Trump administration could essentially dismantle the CDC's efforts to prevent HIV because addressing disparities based on race and sex and gender identity are fundamental to their work. So HIV has long disproportionately impacted minority groups, including Black and Latino people, gay and bisexual men, and transgender people. And the CDC plays a crucial role in tracking HIV infections, nationwide providing millions of grants to state and local health departments, and helping lead on-the-ground efforts to combat the virus. So one staffer I spoke with kind of put it plainly that, like, how are we going to be able to talk about the risk if we can't acknowledge it? And so this is something that we'll have to follow very closely.
All right, Berkeley Lovelace, thank you so much. We appreciate it. We have some breaking news. The Trump administration has forced all 6 of the FBI's most senior executives, as well as top officials at several field offices, out of office. One of them is at the D.C. office, which you will remember led the prosecutions of the president. NBC's Ryan Riley joins us now with more on this. So, Ryan, walk us through this. When we say 6 of the most senior executives, as well as multiple heads of various FBI field offices, we mentioned that D.C. office. Talk to us about who these individuals are based on what we know right now and why they're being forced out.
Yeah, this is really a big purge at the FBI that's happening right now. And there's also a huge purge happening at the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Columbia, which handled a lot of those January 6 cases. We actually just got a memo in that shows that a number of those prosecutors who were brought in for these January 6 cases have been fired or ordered terminated. It will impact around 24 prosecutors. But at the FBI, we're still sort of getting a grasp on how big this will end up being. But it is a major push by the Trump administration to sort of overhaul the FBI. And, you know, a lot of people who are going to be impacted, I think, by these are individuals who weren't necessarily deeply involved in some of these cases, which Donald Trump obviously has some deep grievances about, including the Mar-a-Lago case and the other Jack Smith case in D.C. involving January 6th and Donald Trump's efforts to overturn the 2020 election. But this is a real, I think, significant moment in FBI history and is going to impact a lot of employees who have built their professional lives and done a lot of things outside of any minor involvement, or in some cases more significant involvement they had in any of these cases against Donald Trump. This is I think we're going to learn a lot more throughout the night about just how large this was, but this is significant news within the FBI.
Yeah, we will stay on it as we get more information. Ryan Riley, thank you so much for bringing us that breaking news. We appreciate it. Coming up, what we're learning about the meeting between lawyers for New York City's mayor and DOJ officials over those federal corruption charges, plus a potential first-of-its-kind lawsuit, why a doctor from New York is now facing charges in Louisiana. To tonight's original now, with in-depth reporting on a topic we've been watching. We've talked tonight about the federal government pulling back on DEI initiatives. Now we're turning to the private sector, because Target is at the center of a storm of controversy after it rolled back a bunch of its DEI initiatives. Protesters gathering outside of its headquarters in Minneapolis calling for a boycott of the mega retailer. But now some Black business owners who sell products at Target are saying a boycott could harm Black businesses and Black enterprise. NBC's business and data correspondent Brian Chung has this story.
Hi, Donald John.
Following the inauguration of President Trump, Target said it would end its initiatives on DEI. Social media lighting up.
These companies only respond to financial consequences, so we have to hit them where it hurts.
With calls to boycott the mega retailer.
They won't do nothing. They won't change nothing. They won't pass no laws unless we affect their money. So let's do just that.
Just heard Target restocked on Young King.
The founders of some Black-owned businesses whose products are sold at Target also expressing disappointment at the company.
It kind of hurts a little bit more because Target was the one that was really felt like they went above and beyond.
Stefan Miller was able to get his Young King hair care products on Target shelves through a program linked to a supplier diversity initiative that Target now says it will change. But Miller says a boycott in response to those changes could hurt him and other Black founders more than it hurts Target.
If we're not there and if we don't perform, we kind of lose a seat at the table.
A view echoed by some on social media.
You take all our sales and they dwindle down, and then those companies get to say, oh, your products are not performing.
Instead, some are asking shoppers to double down on buying Black products, even if at Target. Because as one founder said on Instagram, e-commerce can be more expensive. Often brands must partner with Target or Walmart. Target hasn't suggested it will remove these products from its shelves, and it's still not clear how the new strategy will affect Black-owned businesses. In a press release, Target said it was ending its 3-year DEI initiatives, stopping its participation with external diversity watchdogs like the Human Rights Council, and renaming its supplier diversity team to Supplier Engagement. But others in the community nonetheless say it's bad business for Target.
They are willingly making their company less efficient, less strategic, and less able to serve the consumers that they say they are committed to.
When asked for comment, Target also sent us an internal memo from an executive to employees focused on, quote, our commitment to growth and opportunity for all, without providing more details. Target joining other major corporations like Walmart, Amazon, and McDonald's in rolling back some DEI initiatives following Trump's election. It's not the first time the Bullseye brand has been the target of controversy. Back in 2023, anti-LGBTQ groups sparked a major boycott of Target over Pride Month merchandise, with the false claim that the company was marketing transgender-friendly clothing to children. Following that boycott, Target's in-store sales dropped, and it pulled some merchandise. But not everyone is moving so quickly to end DEI within their organizations.
People that stand with us, we will stand with them.
Civil rights activist and MSNBC anchor Al Sharpton leading a, quote, buy-in at Costco last week in support of the company keeping its DEI initiatives in place. Companies like Apple, Microsoft, and JP Morgan also resisting efforts to quash their DEI initiatives. The Black businesses caught in the middle, hoping to focus on solutions.
Don't let a moment define the movement. I think we've just got to get through the noise and be able to have that conversation with those across the table.
And one big challenge for corporate America is how to navigate pressure from politicians. In the case of Costco, which you just heard right there, it was shareholders that voted to uphold the company's DEI policies. But now you have 19 states, including the state of Texas, that are asking Costco to abandon their DEI policies. Could that ramp up on a state level and even at a federal level with President Trump not only going after DEI in the federal government, but perhaps maybe going after corporate America as well? Allison?
Brian Chung, thank you. Let's get you over to the 5 things our team thinks you should know about tonight. Number 1, a Louisiana grand jury indicting a New York doctor for allegedly prescribing an abortion pill online. She was charged with criminal abortion, which is a felony. She did not immediately respond to NBC's request for comment. This appears to be the first time a doctor is facing criminal charges for sending abortion pills to another state. New York Governor Kathy Hochul today is saying she would not comply with an extradition request in this particular case. Number 2, lawyers for New York City Mayor Eric Adams meeting with Justice Department officials in D.C. today as they try to get criminal charges against him dropped. That is according to 3 sources familiar with the matter. Adams' lawyer did not immediately respond to a request for comment, and a spokesman for the U.S. attorney declined to comment. Remember, Adams pleaded not guilty to federal corruption and bribery charges. Number 3, the FDA approving a new non-opioid pain medication for the first time in more than 2 decades. Experts say the drug treating short-term pain is non-addictive and could reduce the number of opioid patients or the number of opioids patients are prescribed. The agency's acting director is calling the approval a, quote, public health milestone. And number 4, Dwayne Wade revealing he was diagnosed with cancer at age 41. He says he went in for a routine checkup when a full body scan revealed a tumor on his kidney. Surgery was the only option, and 40% of his kidney was removed. Wade sharing it was the weakest he's ever felt in his life. And number 5, Liam Payne will star in a new Netflix competition series just months after his death in Argentina. He'll appear as a guest judge on the show Building the Band, basically bringing singers together to form bands. Netflix says it will be released later this year. And when we come back, what is going to float in the skies above Paris for the next few years? And what does it have to do with the Olympics? We will explain. Plus, why a mountain in New Zealand is now legally a person. Hamas tonight saying an Israeli American is one of 3 hostages who will be released in Israel tomorrow in the 4th hostage prisoner exchange with Israel. American Keith Siegel was last seen in a video released by Hamas in April, where he spoke directly to his family to say he was doing okay. Siegel's wife, Aviva, had also been taken hostage by Hamas on October 7, 2023. She was released a month later, telling MSNBC that after her release, she did not know if she would ever get to see her husband again. NBC's Keir Simmons joins us now.
Well, there's going to be so much focus on Keith Siegel tomorrow because he is the first American to be released in this latest ceasefire. There are 3 Americans still being held by Hamas, and 1 more is hoped for to be freed during this phase 1. But Keith Siegel's wife was released more than a year ago, and in very moving interviews, she's talked about the moment when they had to leave each other. She to be freed, he to stay in captivity. So you can imagine tomorrow, if he is released, and it does look as if he will be, he's on that list that the Israelis now have, that being reunited with his wife, that moment, that will be quite something. But then there are others too. Yarden Bibas will be released tomorrow, according to the list. Now he is the father and husband who his wife and 2 children, the youngest, Kafir, just 9 months old when they were taken hostage, they are not on the list. And of course, that is going to raise even more concerns about what's happened to them. So that will be incredibly bittersweet for Yarden when he emerges. We don't know, for example, whether he knows what might have happened to his wife and 2 children. So all of these days when hostages are freed are bittersweet because of how many are still being held. But in that case, even more so, I think you can say. And then just in terms of the politics of all this, Prime Minister Netanyahu was furious at the scenes earlier this week when more hostages were set free. Enormous crowds. They had to be taken through those crowds. It looked really traumatic. And he insisted that before more Palestinian prisoners were freed, that there were guarantees that that wouldn't happen again. So all eyes are going to be on how this exit happens tomorrow. And then Prime Minister Netanyahu will be in Washington on Monday to meet with President Trump. He will be the first world leader to meet with President Trump since the inauguration. And later in the week, talks expected to begin for stage 2 of this ceasefire, with hopefully more hostages released.
Keir Simmons, our thanks for that. The European Union agreed this week to start lifting the crippling economic sanctions on Syria gradually after the overthrow of the Bashar al-Assad regime. The goal is to rebuild the war-ravaged Syrian economy, which is struggling with a severe lack of resources. One of the hardest hit parts of Syrian society, healthcare, with many hospitals severely understaffed, undersupplied, and relying on crumbling equipment. NBC's Hallie brings us this story from Damascus.
For many Syrians with leukemia, this is the best care they can hope for. In one of the country's largest public hospitals, patients are crammed into small spaces with little heat, cared for by overworked doctors.
One bit of the huge gap.
Dr. Sausan Rashdan, a hematologist from Dallas, is on an outreach visit to help evaluate the needs here at Al Mawasat. So I'm looking here at rooms where you have patients crowded into a room.
Yeah.
They're not isolated. This is very dangerous for immunocompromised patients.
Absolutely. Those are patients with leukemia. They're getting induction treatment. This is a very intense treatment. As you can see in the room, the beds are very close to each other. And, you have no idea, if there's any infection around.
Dr. Rashdan cares deeply about this facility in particular because she trained here, and she's now volunteering with the Syrian American Medical Society.
The salary for the doctors in this hospital is only $20 a month.
$20 a month?
$20 a month. I've been here for a week, so I know what that means now. That means 4 sandwiches.
After the fall of longtime dictator Bashar al-Assad, the extent to which the country is broken can be seen starkly in Syria's decimated healthcare system. Years of sanctions on the former regime mean that there have been massive shortages of medicine, no spare parts for equipment, a situation so dire, patients often bring their own blankets and bedding. Dr. Rashdan's husband, cardiologist Dr. Anas Al-Omar, says he is shocked by the state of the hospital. This is the only one in this hospital?
This is the only one in the whole hospital.
The facility's only heart catheter machine has been broken for months. No spare parts to fix it because of sanctions on the former Assad government.
You cannot do heart caths for patients. So if you have a heart patient, if you have a patient with chest pain, they have to go somewhere else.
Are people dying unnecessarily?
Absolutely. People are dying because of this.
The World Health Organization says over half of Syria's hospitals are non-functional today. And a short drive from the public facilities that remained in government-controlled areas, you can see why. Hospitals in rebel-held regions became targets of the regime and its allies during the war. If you want to get a sense of the enormity of the task ahead for this country and what it will take to rebuild its healthcare system, take a look at this hospital. It was bombed more than a decade ago. We're in the Damascus suburb of Ghouta that was rebel-held, and the regime torched buildings, dropped bombs on structure. There's no infrastructure. We think this might have been a CT scan machine. This was one of the premier hospitals in all of Damascus, obviously completely unusable and out of commission. And the entire road leading to it is leveled, and there's been no reconstruction in over 10 years. El Hekmeh Hospital was put out of commission when the Assad regime bombed the rebel-held area in 2018. We obtained photos of El Hekme before it was completely destroyed, the reception area before and now. And this is what is left of patient treatment rooms. We only saw one hospital in this entire Damascus suburb on our visit. Residents tell us there were over 30 here before the war. There are also massive shortages. Before the war, Syria produced 90% of its own drugs. Today, that number is only about 15%, according to the WHO.
So this is the room as
Back in Damascus, hematology resident Dr. Miriam Laflouf shows us the small refrigerator for medicines on her floor. There's a shortage of these particular...
All chemotherapy, there's shortage of them. We only have specific chemotherapies, but not all of them. We do them by our hands. We have like black plastics, and we're covering it with them. So it's covered from the light.
As we wrap up filming here, a desperate patient in need of a heart operation approaches our crew. He says his name is Mustafa Al-Jaber. He tells me he came to this hospital from Raqqa in eastern Syria, but couldn't get the care he needed. Dr. Al-Omar, who spent time in the north of the country volunteering with the Syrian American Medical Society there, tells him there are options for him in Idlib now. He writes down his name and number, eventually connecting him with the right surgeon. One tiny bit of good news, and perhaps a chance at life. Hallie Garani, NBC News, Damascus.
NBC covers hundreds of international stories every single day, and because it is tough to read, watch, or listen to all of them, our teams around the world have done it for you. Here's a look at what they're watching in a segment we like to call The Global. From Colombia, the president is urging undocumented Colombians in the United States to quit their jobs and come back to Colombia. He wrote on X that his government would offer credits to people who came back and enrolled in its programs. Remember, earlier this week, the Colombian Air Force planes carrying people who were deported from the U.S. did arrive in Bogota. Out of New Zealand, a mountain is now legally a person. You heard that right. The designation by the country's parliament means the government no longer owns the mountain. Indigenous people there consider it to be a sacred ancestor. This has actually happened before in New Zealand, first with a sacred forest and then a river. And in France, President Emmanuel Macron says the iconic cauldron that floated over Paris every night during the Olympics is going to be reinstalled every summer. The cauldron was near the Louvre, and visitors could come see it lift off during sunset for free. It'll be there until the 2028 Summer Games in Los Angeles. Coming up, why President Trump's FCC is investigating PBS and NPR and what it could mean for funding public broadcasting. NPR and PBS say they are being investigated by the FCC as part of an effort that could help decide the future of funding for these two public media organizations. In a letter obtained by the New York Times, FCC Chairman Brendan Carr says he is worried that NPR and PBS are violating federal law by airing commercials. He goes on to say he doesn't see, quote, a reason why Congress should continue sending taxpayer dollars to NPR and PBS given the changes in the media marketplace. Both organizations saying in statements that they are complying with the law and are confident that any review will show that. All of this fits into a broader message that we've seen from President Trump and his allies aimed at cracking down on major media organizations. He's also gone to the courts. We're now learning CBS News' parent company, Paramount, is in settlement talks with the president over that $10 billion 60 Minutes lawsuit. That is according to reporting from the New York Times. Remember, President Trump sued CBS just before the 2024 election, accusing the company of editing a 60 Minutes interview with Vice President Kamala Harris to make his then opponent look more favorable. CBS says it is complying with an FCC inquiry on the matter in a statement late tonight. NBC's legal analyst Danny Savalos joins us now with more. Danny, let's start with the NPR, PBS, FCC stuff. So many letters, right? But at issue here are these like so-called underwriting spots that air on NPR and also PBS. Can you explain to us exactly what those are and why it's something the new FCC chair thinks they need to look at because it could have, in his view, crossed the line into this space of commercial advertising?
Right. So PBS and NPR are not allowed to air commercials, but they are allowed to at least give acknowledgement to the people who are the corporations who are underwriting the programming. And the difference is that a commercial is a call to action. Buy my hair tonic, it will regrow your hair. Instead, what PBS and NPR do is they just say, hey, here's who underwrites this particular piece of programming. It's Megacorp or something else, just to give an example. They're not talking about what the product does or what they do. And there's a major distinction there, and that is what the FCC is alleging or saying that they're investigating, that over the years, even though this is the way it's been for literally decades, that over the years, there's been a slow creep where what was originally supposed to be just an acknowledgement to underwriters has now become slowly and softly a form of commercial advertising, which would be prohibited for NPR and PBS in a way that it simply isn't prohibited for private companies, broadcast companies like ours, like CBS, like ABC.
So we have already heard from some Democrats coming out to say they feel like this investigation is a serious concern, some even saying it's weaponizing the power of the FCC. Walk us through what the consequences could potentially be, say, of pulling public broadcasting, and in terms of just the legal process, how we would expect this to play out. Is this something that could be years long of different things being investigated, or something that could have a resolution in one form or the other in the coming weeks?
Yes, the big question, at least the second question, is always how long. And the answer with an investigation is it's hard to say. It's hard to say how vigorous the FCC or the new head of the FCC plans to pursue this. After all, it's been a matter of days since the new administration has taken hold. So the question becomes, how far do they want to investigate this? It may not be that difficult to determine what kinds of what kinds of acknowledgments to underwriters were broadcast. What may be subject to dispute is whether or not a particular acknowledgement to an underwriter rose to the level, the legal level, a legal definition of an advertisement, as opposed to what NPR and PBS are supposed to do, which is simply say something to the effect, and I'm paraphrasing, thanks to our sponsor so-and-so, and without any of the additional, this product will change your life, that kind of thing that you ordinarily associate with a commercial. As we approach the Super Bowl, the glory of all commercials worldwide, this is something totally different.
All right, we will keep an eye on that. So many more questions for you, Danny, but I'm going to put a pin in it for now because we have to turn to some breaking news. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. All right, the breaking news here, we are hearing from multiple sources. They have confirmed this to our NBC Philadelphia affiliate. They say a small plane has crashed in northeast Philadelphia near a mall, the Roosevelt Mall. Again, that's in northeast Philadelphia. We are being told the crash happened about at the top of the hour, so about 55 minutes ago, 6 p.m. Eastern. We have crews there scrambling right now, trying to get to the scene to get some more information on how this happened, any possible injuries. All of that is information we will bring you here on NBC News as soon as we have it. Stay with us. We will be right back. The lead actress for the most nominated movie at this year's Academy Awards is deleting her ex account after the discovery of numerous racist posts. Users uncovered past posts by Carla Sofia Gascon that we are not going to read here, but we can tell you many of them targeted Muslims, China, even diversity at the very award show where she wants to win. The whole thing putting a damper on Gascon's historic nomination as the first openly trans actress to receive a nomination for the starring role in Emilia Perez, despite criticism of her character by LGBTQ+ organizations. In a statement obtained by NBC News, Gascon says she's sorry to those that she has caused pain. We should note in that she did not specifically apologize for the posts themselves. She is acknowledging here, though, that they have caused hurt. Chloe Malas is following this story.
Hey there, Allison. That is right. So Carla Sofia Gascon, she was being hailed as being the first openly trans actress to not only be nominated for a Golden Globe, but also an Oscar. And we're only a month away from the Academy Awards. And, voting is not over, right? I mean, this is an ongoing situation over the next couple of weeks. And this could potentially really severely hurt her chances at a potentially historic win. I want to read you part of her statement that she has released via Netflix. Netflix is the streamer behind Emilia Perez. She writes in part, as someone in a marginalized community, I know this suffering all too well, and I am deeply sorry to those I have caused pain. She has been open about the fact that she herself has been on the receiving end of a bunch of anti-trans hate. And in these messages that are coming out from several years ago on Twitter, well, formerly known as Twitter, it's X, I'll read you some of the things that, NBC News, we've not been able to independently verify that these are, in fact, her messages, but she's apologizing for them. So I will read you some of them. In 2016, she called Islam a, quote, infection that urgently needs to be cured. In another, saying George Floyd, who you remember was killed by Minneapolis police, she launched a national reckoning. She called him a drug addict and a hustler. And she also criticized the Oscars in 2021, basically saying that it was too woke. She called it an Afro-Korea festival and also called it an ugly gala. So again, this is a terrible situation for not only Carla Sofia Gascon, but also for Netflix. And you're just a few weeks before the Oscars. This could severely impact her career going forward. I've been talking to experts. I mean, look, Hollywood is no stranger to scandal. Neither are the Oscars. I mean, remember Mel Gibson and the anti-Semitic and racist tirade that he did in the early 2000s? Well, about a decade later, his movie Hacksaw Ridge was nominated for several Academy Awards. He himself was nominated for Best Director. He got a slew of applause at the Academy Awards that night, and his movie won 2 Academy Awards. The Academy of Motion Pictures, Arts and Sciences, they haven't said anything, but clearly this is a developing situation with likely fallout coming over the next several days and weeks.
Thanks, Chloe. Top Story starts right now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.